As mentioned previously, the old saying was that the only reason anyone traveled to New Aberdeen was to stay there. Though usually regarded as a colloquialism by most, there are some who treat it more as superstition. Indeed, that which comes from New Aberdeen does have a tendency to remain there, and anyone who ever attempted to leave it either never got very far or was eventually reclaimed by the city. The life story of Captain Joseph Blythe, for example, was originally going to be adapted to a biographical feature film in Hollywood, with stars like Errol Flynn and Spencer Tracy rumored to be competing for the lead role. The film would have been based on the book Soldier of Fortune by Gil Baxter, which covered Blythe's exploits up until his disappearance. Blythe would go on record stating that the book was, quote, somewhat exaggerated, unquote, and wished to be a supervisor on the film to ensure his story was told properly. According to entertainment magazines of the era, studio representatives were sent to meet with Blythe, but upon their return to California, the project was scrapped. No official reason was ever given for this sudden abandonment, but rumors that it had something to do with the stranger aspects of Blythe's story, as detailed in the second episode of this series, were popular. Following this breakdown, Blythe's role in the First World War became downplayed to the point where he would eventually be completely stricken from the history books. New Aberdeen's homegrown performer Patricia Heller suffered a similar fate. Despite the promise of her own Hollywood deal, a change in studio hierarchy caused it to fall through. This, combined with the reason why she was attacked, led to her never leaving New Aberdeen as well, despite her initial hopes that she would one day. Those details will be presented in a later episode. As time progresses, we find that New Aberdeen becomes even more isolated from the outside world, often in ways that seem to defy rational explanation. As a result, the belief arose that perhaps New Aberdeen refused to let anything escape from its borders, as if the region itself was somehow determined to keep people trapped. Thanks to the quarantine, it now appears that New Aberdeen truly is inescapable, if that is, anyone still resides within it. The following episode of the Victor Jones Radio Hour is believed to be a direct follow-up to the previous episode, and marks a major turning point for both the series and the city. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Victor Jones Radio Hour, brought to you by Oyster Brand Toothpaste. If Oyster Brand is good enough for Charlie Chaplin, it's good enough for you. Please disregard all rumors that Oyster Brand is involved in cultic activities. I'm your host, Victor Jones, and this week I'm pleased to announce a new feature for our program. Due to an upswing in ratings, my producers at the New Aberdeen Radio Network have increased my budget, allowing me to do an experiment I've been wanting to try for some time now. My studio is now set up to receive your phone calls, allowing you to talk to me live on the air. The number is 1... Feel free to call in at any point. While we wait for our first caller, here are a few headlines from the week in review. The source of the explosion at Cobalt Labs still has yet to be determined, as scientists and staff refuse to cooperate with authorities. Although no fallout has affected our fine city, reports have come in of red and blue cloud cover in southern regions of Maine, as well as a rain of fish and frogs in the outskirts of Bangor. While no definite connection has been drawn between the odd weather patterns and the explosion, it seems like too great of a coincidence to me. At the very least, the side effects appear to have blown past us. That's not to say New Aberdeen won't see any consequences. Reports of the Lake Ore monster, who is now being referred to as Orion by the populace, have increased tenfold since the explosion, and by all accounts, Orion is not happy. Eyewitness Matthew Hall was fishing on Lake Ore last Sunday when he saw Orion thrashing about in the otherwise tranquil waters as though agitated by something unseen. Mr. Hall was in a rowboat at the time and decided to paddle back to shore when he noticed Orion drawing closer to him. A tremendous wave caused by Orion breaching is what carried him back to shore. The creature did not, however, make landfall itself, and Mr. Hall does not believe it was interested in or even aware of his vessel. Of course, the existence of Orion still has yet to be officially confirmed by science, but if the increased activity continues, we may very well know the truth about the Lake Ore monster soon enough. It appears we have our first caller. Now let's see if I remember how to do this. Wires all look to be in place. Just flip this switch and... Got it! Congratulations, whoever you are! You're on the air with Victor Jones. Whom shall I say is calling?
Why, it's Isidore Fuller, Mr. Jones.
Oh, Isidore. Of course you'd be the first. I was warned you'd be calling with some kind of gossip.
Gossip? Who said I'd be calling with gossip? Was it Mark Davies? I'll wager it was him. Well, don't trust a word that comes out of his filthy mouth. We all know what kind of books he keeps in the back of his shop. I see nothing artistic about those kinds of books.
If Mr. Davies accused you of stringing Izzy, he was just one of many.
Well, I say it's not gossip if it's true. And I have very reliable sources. I'm sure you can appreciate that as a journalist. For example, my cousin heard from her best friend, who heard from her husband, who heard from his co-worker, the real reason why Valorem skyscraper has been glowing since the thunderstorm.
Well, reliability aside, please regale us. Why is the skyscraper glowing?
It's because of what they're making it from. That Hugh Valorem wants his building to be taller than the Empire State Building, you know. All part of his silly rivalry with Mr. Raskob. I just know it's about a woman. They both fell for the same girl.
One rumor at a time, if you please, Izzy. I do have a limited time slot.
Well, buildings can only be built so high, you know. It's all engineering, very complicated. So, to make his taller, Valorem had the framework constructed from a new kind of metal he's been mining from Lake Ore.
A new kind of metal, you say?
I do say. Much stronger than steel, but also very conductive. So he's been mining it from the lake bed with the help from those cold-blooded scientists. Somehow the metal absorbed the energy from the lightning, and that's why it's glowing.
And you can prove this?
Well, I can ask my cousin what her friend's husband's co-worker's name is. And then you can ask him. I don't know him myself, but he's clearly very well versed in these sort of things.
Well, I'll take that under advisement. Thanks for calling, Izzy. Good night.
Oh, but
Well, that was an interesting way to break in the blower. The Valorem skyscraper is being constructed from a new kind of element, as rumored by Isidore Fuller and her cousin's friend's husband's co-worker. I think after something like that, we need a bit of a breather. Since they say music soothes the savage beast, this one goes out to Orion the Lake Gore monster, in hopes that it calms him down before he sinks another boat. Welcome back to the Victor Jones Radio Hour, brought to you by Oyster Brand Toothpaste, who once again wishes to ensure you that it is not involved in ancient pagan rituals to druidic spirits. My, that's awfully specific. If you're just tuning in, remember that you now have the option to call our station at 1... As we wait, let's continue the week in review. The second masked man of mystery to begin his vigilante career in New Aberdeen struck again last Saturday night. Shop clerk Gordhan Rajani was eyewitness to the event at the Main Street drugstore. Just before closing up for the night, a lone gunman entered the shop, holding Mr. Rajani and the few remaining patrons at gunpoint, demanding money. Almost immediately, the vigilante appeared in a cloud of smoke, face once again obscured by an insectoid gas mask. Without speaking a word, the vigilante threw what was described as a water balloon at the would-be robber. Before you laugh, folks, Mr. Rajani stated that when the balloon burst on the crook's face, it released not just liquid but noxious fumes that burned the robber's skin and sent him into a catatonic shock, from which he died the next day. Due to the smaller concentration, the fumes dispersed without harming anyone else, and the vigilante was on his way as Mr. Rajani called the police. This new mystery man's penchant for gas-based weaponry has led to the people nicknaming him Smoke. That's as good a name as any, I think. What timing? We have another caller. Hello, you're on the air with Victor Jones.
I just heard the juiciest bit of news about the Presbyterian minister's wife.
And you're off the air with Victor Jones. If anyone else feels like making a call, please feel free and do so quickly. Well, I wasn't expecting a house call, but it'll do. I'll just have one of my crew see who it is. Hey, can one of you mugs see who's outside? Sorry, folks, this isn't exactly turning out the way I was expecting, but everything new has a rough beginning.
And you have the gall to call yourself a journalist.
Hope? Well, isn't this a surprise, folks? It appears that ace reporter Hope G of New Aberdeen Daily has just barged into the studio without announcing herself first.
Well, somebody has to do this job properly, Vic, and since you clearly aren't qualified, it's once again up to me to pick up your slack.
Which one of my boys let you in here? Whoever it was is in hot water.
What boys? You're alone in here.
Then who unlocked the door for you, Missy?
It wasn't. No, wait, it was locked. But it did open, and you've been sitting here this whole time, so forget it. I don't care. It's not why I'm here. Why didn't you follow up on that obvious lead?
And what lead might that be?
Isadore Fuller's called Tummy?
I have no reason to think ill of Minister Brown's lovely wife.
No, the first one. The one about Valorum skyscraper and the reason it's glowing?
Are you actually saying New Aberdeen's most notorious busybody said something that's not just a rumor?
Even a broken clock is right twice a day. I've been following that story ever since the storm, and I've got sources that line up with what Isadore told you on the phone. Hugh Valorum really is using some kind of new element from the lake to make his building. It's not just glowing, though. It's causing problems for the workers.
Problems? What kind of problems?
People have been getting sick mostly. Nausea, lethargy, dizziness. Those are the most common symptoms.
And who, pray tell, is your source?
I can't tell you his real name, Vic. He wants to remain anonymous.
How convenient.
We're in the middle of a depression, Vic. He can't afford to lose this job, even with all the hazards. Let's just call him the big man. That's what I was going to use in my report anyway.
Well, if this angle is on the square, why haven't I seen it in print yet?
My editor's behind the 8-ball. Valrum Industries owns the paper, so the story keeps getting nixed. That's why I'm here. Your rotten show may be nothing more than you bumping gums, but I've got to get the actual news out somehow. You hear that, Gary? It's your fault I'm here.
Hold that thought. Hello, you're on the air with Victor Jones.
I told you, didn't I?
You sure did, Izzy. Now quit while you're ahead and please stop calling. You know, I'm starting to regret this new gimmick.
Well, you've got no one to blame for it but yourself. As usual.
And just what is that supposed to mean?
Don't act like you forgot about that stunt you pulled during our last year at university.
That was a harmless prank.
Tell that to the football team.
I am not responsible for what those flamingos did, and don't put all the blame on me, sister. You were the one who lit the firecrackers.
Hey! That was completely unrelated!
We'll settle this in a moment. I swear, if this is Isadore Fuller again, then so help me!
Goodness me, no need to be so hostile, Mr. Jones. This is, that is to say, I'm someone with intimate knowledge of, Cobalt Labs. What?
Thank God Almighty. All right, stranger, what can I do you for?
I'm afraid I don't have much time. My colleagues don't know I'm making this call, and I need to be quick about it. I'm calling because Miss Z and Miss Fuller are both right, but they have only uncovered the tip of the iceberg, so to speak.
Really? Tell me more, stranger. Tell me more.
Hope, you really don't have to stay.
If you expect me to leave when a scoop like this falls into my lap, you're nuts.
Fine, since you insist, pull up a chair.
So, go on, buddy. What's the wrap on this mystery metal?
Metal is just what Hugh Valorum has been using it for. The substance has more potential uses than just construction, for it contains many properties we are only just beginning to understand. For example, the substance is highly reactive under certain conditions. When electrified, as it was during the storm, it emits low levels of radiation.
Radiation? That's mighty dangerous, isn't it?
The levels are low enough that it dissipates quickly in the atmosphere, but the city is not in immediate danger. But prolonged exposure to it at the source will most assuredly result in illness, as Miss Z has stated. We're not entirely sure if the effects are permanent, but given enough time, there is reason to believe that they could prove lethal. Moreover, my own work has shown that when combined with concentrated amounts of hydrogen, methane, carbon dioxide, and selenium, the chemical makeup causes the substance to become unstable, resulting in an explosive reaction.
Explosive? Hold the phone, bud. There was an explosion at Cobalt the other week. Is there a connection there?
The explosion was a chain reaction of sorts, but I'm afraid the test involving the substance was the root cause. That is not even the worst of it, though. You see, Orion... Wait!
What's the matter?
Is something wrong? Hey, say something!
Oh, that's wonderful news, Mother. I'm so pleased the proctology exam went well, dear.
What the heck is he on about?
I don't know, but I hope proctology is a word you can say on the radio, or else I'm in big trouble.
My apologies. Some of my co-workers in Project Quantum Cat just went by. I'm afraid I have to go, Mr. Jones. Can I schedule another time to speak with you on the show?
Well, I'm sure we can work out something.
Or you can come to me with this information. You can tell me more about this mystery element and whatever this Project Quantum Cat is.
Well, wait. Sorry, but I really must go before anyone catches on. Goodbye.
Am I crazy, or did it sound like he was about to mention Orion?
He said the name as plain as day.
So at the very least, it looks as if the scientists at Cobalt Labs take the sighting seriously. What do you make of that?
It was only a matter of time. I've seen Orion with my own 2 eyes, so I already know that he's real. Science just needs to catch up with the rest of us.
You've seen Orion? Where?
At the lake.
Well, yes, I assumed as much, but where at the lake?
Does it matter? The point is that I saw him.
Were you on a boat? Maybe a hiking trail?
Why are you suddenly being so nosy? It's not important where I was.
Come to think of it, most of the sightings happen at the Golden Skies new...
It doesn't matter! Close your head or I'll close it for you.
I thought you were chastising me earlier for not following up on my leads.
I didn't mean... You can't just... Oh, thank goodness. Get on the horn, Vic.
If you say so, Hope. Hello, you're on the air with Victor Jones and a very flustered twist of a newshawk.
About what I was going to say last time.
That dame just can't take a hint. Maybe now is a good time to take a break with a musical interlude. Boys, surprise us.
Welcome back to the Victor Jones Radio Hour, brought to you by Oyster Brand Toothpaste. You're best off spending your clams on Oyster Brand. Ugh, good grief. How does Vic read these every week with a straight face? Anyway, I'm Hope G, and Victor Jones was just called into the hall by his producers, so I'm just filling in until he gets back. I may not be a fan of his puff piece show, but that doesn't mean I want to leave you lovely folks at home with dead air. Like Vic said, you can call into the station whenever you want. As if on cue. Well, let's see here. Which button is it now? Hey guys, do you know which button here answers the phone?
House near the Aberdeen surgery.
The green switch? Oh, thanks. Wait, who said that? Never mind. Hello there, stranger. You're on the air with ace reporter Hope G.
I'm no stranger, Miss G. You know who I am.
Oh, Commissioner Frank Oddsworth. Hi there.
Skip the pleasantries, Miss G. I'm in no mood to be chummy with you after that hatchet job you printed in New Aberdeen Daily's Sunday edition.
With all due respect, Commissioner, I think you may not understand the point of my article.
Oh, don't I? You said, and I quote, "With the police so frequently rendered ineffective against New Aberdeen's criminal element, the presence of vigilantes such as the Enigma and the newcomer Smoke is a welcome blessing. Finally, there are men in this city who realize that upholding the law is sometimes an obstruction to serving justice. What about that am I misunderstanding, Miss G? In just 2 sentences, you condemn me, my men, and my profession in favor of anarchists and murderers."
Commissioner, New Aberdeen Daily has always cooperated with local law enforcement in times of...
Can the malarkey, G? Did you write that excerpt or not?
I won't deny that I wrote that. But I also wrote that I don't think these vigilantes should replace the police. The Migliore crime family has only become as powerful as it is because they know how to exploit the system. The Enigma is going after them specifically, and not after the police or the common man. Since he operates outside the law, he has a better chance of crumbling the Migliore family empire. Now, if the police were to work with him and Smoke...
The law is the law, Miss G. Every day my men put their lives on the line so people like you can go on living comfortably. We're the ones who keep this city safe, not them. Mark my words, G. The Enigma and Smoke are only going to make things worse in this town. And one day, you'll be begging for us to bring them in.
Commissioner, I think you're missing the bigger picture when it comes to... Commissioner Oddsworth? Frank? Are you there? I guess he hung up. In light of that verbal sparring match, I'd like to ensure all of you guys listening that I am not opposed to the NAPD, nor am I underappreciative of what they do for this fine city of ours.
All right, I'm back. Sorry for the delay, folks. I was just having a little hot-to-hot with my producers, and I successfully managed to convince them that proctology qualifies as a scientific term, and thus it is perfectly fine to say on the air, though I doubt it will be coming up in conversation again anytime soon. So, Hope, what did I miss?
Oh, nothing special.
Ah, just in time for me to answer. Hello, you're on the air with Victor Jones.
Oddsworth is wrong.
Wrong about what? And more importantly, who is this?
The commissioner just told Miss G that the police keep New Aberdeen safe. He is wrong for many reasons. His forces merely stave off the symptoms, but they cannot fight the disease itself.
Nothing special, eh, Hope?
The police wanting to give me the Broderick is hardly that surprising.
New Aberdeen is not safe, Victor Jones. It never was. Any perceived safety was an illusion, one which I intend to make a reality.
Wait a minute. Are you who I think you are?
I am what I need to be for the greater good.
You're the Enigma. You must be.
Indeed, I must, Miss G. Do not bother asking me anything else, for being the Enigma is all that matters. I'm calling to deliver a message to the people, if you will permit me.
Who am I to say no? Please, talk to your heart's content.
I am not a threat to New Aberdeen, as Frank Oddsworth believes. Oddsworth is a good man, and I do not wish him to be my enemy. All I ask is that he leaves me to my work. If I am disrupted, the city will not survive what is to come.
What's that supposed to mean? What's coming?
May you never find out.
Mr. Enigma? Hello?
He hung up.
To think I just had the Enigma on my show. By George, this telephone gimmick is the best idea I've ever had.
That's not saying much.
I'm too excited to care that you insulted me. This calls for some celebratory music. Feel free to join in the festivities, folks. Welcome back to the Victor Jones Radio Hour, brought to you by Oyster Brand Toothpaste. This has certainly been an eventful evening, with calls from people all over this fine city of ours and exciting developments in the ongoing mysteries of the Lake Gore Monster and the Enigma. My impromptu co-host Hope G has just left for the night, and it's once again just me and my crew wrapping things up as we approach the end of the hour. One last bit of breaking news before we sign off. It seems that disappearances on the Devil's Lane continue unabated, even if the numbers have slightly decreased. This evening, however, we have an unexpected development. One of the reported missing individuals, a Carter Miliband, has reappeared on one of the very buses from which he disappeared 4 weeks prior. According to our sources, Mr. Miliband will be kept sequestered from the public until such time as he has been thoroughly examined and questioned by experts. Hopefully, we will soon learn where he was this whole time, and his fellow abductees will not be far behind in returning to us. That's all for tonight. On behalf of my loyal crew, I'm Victor Jones. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you all next week. The New Aberdeen Tapes, Episode 4, Calls from Destiny. Featuring Pink Bunny Girl 43 as Hope G, Midnight 29 as Isidore Fuller, Sean Hastings as Dr. Gilbert Goldstein and the Enigma, and Rodney Woolworth as Commissioner Frank Oddsworth. Supported by patrons Carter Miliband, Gordhan Rajani, Mark Davies, Thomas Nickel aka Quantum Cat, Matthew Hall, and Jeffrey Stefan aka Big Man Geek. Featuring the following music: 1940s Slow Dance, Sting, by Doug Maxwell. Confliction and Catharsis by Asher Fulero, and Swing Theory by Freedom Trail Studio. Title card by Snazzy Chapeau. Special thanks to Thomas Nickel for extra recording services. Written, directed, and edited by Ryan George Collins. Thank you all for listening, and good night.